This report is genuinely insane. In a summer full of trade rumors surrounding the Calgary Flames, most notably Rasmus Andersson and Nazem Kadri, you never know when one will come out that truly shocks you. But now, to keep the insanity going this summer, one writer is urging the Flames to trade Mikael Backlund. Yes, you heard me right. We're going to get into all that and more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. Let's hop in and just say, what on earth? I can't say I get baffled or just truly shocked or surprised many times when I'm, going through Flames media, whether it's, browsing the internet, social media on Twitter or Reddit or wherever. But sometimes every now and then you get a report or an article or something where you just go, what on earth is going on here? I understand if there's Rasmus Andersson trade rumors, Nazem Kadri trade rumors, even guys like, Coleman, Huberdeau, some of the other vets. But Mikael Backlund, I mean, sure, it might make sense. I was just surprised is all I'm going to say. But let's get into it. Here's this article. So analysts call on Calgary Flames to trade longtime player imminently. Now, this comes from House of Hockey. It was written by Tom Banks, but as you'll see, we'll have a very familiar writer later who actually wrote the original article for this. But already by that headline, you're thinking, what's going on here? Well, Mikael Backlund is the longest tenured member of the Calgary Flames, but now the team have been urged to trade him late in his career. Wouldn't that be a nice way to do things? Well, just hold on. It might actually end up making sense. So the Calgary Flames have been very busy overhauling their roster in the past few years, and with all the speculation around both Kadri and Andersson in recent times, there could be some blockbuster trades coming soon. On top of that, they've also got the likes of Blake Coleman that could be dealt, but now the hockey writers have called upon the team to trade longtime player and current captain Mikael Backlund this season. The 36-year-old made his debut for the Flames over 16 years ago and since then has played in over 1,000 games with the team, becoming one of the most consistent two-way players in the modern history of the organization and honestly of the league during his tenure. Despite how beloved he is in the community and by the organization, Backlund hasn't had much of a shot at winning the Stanley Cup, that's key, and this has led many fans and analysts to suggest the team trade him to a contending team at the trade deadline in 2026. That's kind of where the justification comes in. I'll get into it more a little later in this video, but yeah, I'm sure Backlund, if he were to see his name in the trade rumor mill, he would be surprised too, but I'm sure he'd also like to play for a cup, and that might not be the case in Calgary this year, although I still have my fingers and my toes crossed, of course. While his production fell off in 2024-25 as he posted just 15 goals and 32 points in 76 games played, Backlund is one of the best defensive centers in the NHL, and with contending teams always needing that down the middle, a trade makes perfect sense in the near future. He's not going to be a guy who's going to produce a lot of points. He doesn't even really win a lot of faceoffs, but imagine him as like a fourth-line center on a contender. It really could make sense. Ultimately, it's more likely than not that the team will leave Backlund's fate up to him moving forward, true, as they would likely respect his wishes to remain a Flame for life if that's what he wants, but if not, don't be shocked to see speculation continuing to heat up in the coming months. And one thing I'll say about Bax is, sure, he's not a star player by any stretch of the imagination, but what he does for this organization, what he does for this city, the passion he shows for the Flames, he always, reposts everything on social media or puts it on his story, which I know is so, this era of what, people gauge their athletes as. But the way he talks about the city, the way he talks about the organization, the way he talks about his teammates, the way he supports his teammates, I just love Mikael Backlund so much. And sure, he's never going to be, most people's favorite player, but to throw his name around is a little bit interesting. That's why I kind of went, what on earth is going on here? We're trading Andersson, we're trading Kadri, and now we're trading Backlund as well. But that one side of, could he go and play for, a contender, a chance to win the cup? It does make sense, which brings us into the justification. So if we take a little look at the original article that was written, this was just kind of one to kind of blow your socks off in a way, but this is the original one written by Rupert McDonald. We go over a lot of his content, great Flames writer, but he's the one who initially said Flames need, and that is a powerful word when it comes to media, using the word need, but Flames need to trade Mikael Backlund this season. Super interesting, written today. It's kind of bonkers in a way, but let's see what he says. So Mikael Backlund wasn't bad enough to the point of sitting as a healthy scratch last season, but he wasn't as far off as you may think. Harsh words. Though things with Backlund never reached the point of even fans or media discussing the possibility of taking him out of the lineup, it was clear that the 36-year-old had lost a step when comparing him to his prime. And again, you never expect Backlund to be more than, a 40-point player in a way. Sure, he had some great seasons, especially when the Flames were obviously successful, but I don't know, that is quite harsh. I will say that right now. But here is where Mr. McDonald really got into it. So he wrote a whole thing of how Backlund deserves a chance to win. So this coming season is an interesting one for Backlund as he's entering the final year of a 2-year contract he signed ahead of the 2023-24 season. The two sides have been able to work on an extension, the two sides have been able to work on an extension since July 1st, though there have seemingly been no talks about doing so. Yes, that is completely correct. They can work out a contract, it just, nothing has been reported. So while there's no rush for the two parties to get to an extension done if that's what they wish, the ideal situation would be moving the Swedish centerman at or ahead of the trade deadline. Pardon me. It would be a great sign of respect for a player who has done everything the organization could have asked of him. True, he's really done it all, except obviously win the Stanley Cup. Backlund hasn't had the opportunity to play for a contender in his career, as the Flames have never advanced past the second round during his tenure. That's not to say the Flames weren't technically contenders in a couple of those years. We won the division in 2019 and, we're top seed in 2019 even, and in 2022 as well, won the division well. But I understand. It's quite unfortunate as his style of game during his prime years is one that could have really paid dividends for a Stanley Cup contender. Though Backlund does seem to have lost a step, he would still be a solid bottom six add for a team looking to win it all, and there would be many teams interested in acquiring him. While he does have a 15-team no trade clause in his contract, you have to imagine he would be willing to go to any team he views as a contender, as it's evident the Flames won't be that for however much time remains in his career. And that's, again, it may sound a little bit harsh, but it just kind of is the truth when it comes to, I guess, Backlund's lifespan in the NHL in general. Of course, a trade at or ahead of the deadline would negate any potential negative feelings, which is why it is the ideal situation. It's kind of a win-win. If they were to hold onto him through the deadline, they would need to walk away from him in the offseason, which is a situation nobody wants to see for a player who has given it his all throughout his entire NHL career. That is why both Flames fans and Backlund fans should hope to see a trade transpire this coming season. Yes, it gives Backlund a chance to win, but does it matter more to him to stay loyal? You know, the Francesco Totti of the NHL. Would he rather be like that in a way? Again, I think it'll ultimately come down to what Backlund wants more than anything else, because it's not like the Flames are going to get that much for Mikael Backlund. It's not like as necessary as trading Andersson and Kadri because their value is so high. Backlund's value, unfortunately, isn't as high. Yes, he could fit it into a contender, be on a fourth line in the playoffs. I think that could really work out well. I would argue Backlund was our very best player in our series against Edmonton back in 2022. He cared the most, tried the hardest, and honestly played really well. So it could be interesting. A trade could work out. At first, you see Mikael Backlund's name in the trade rumor mill. You're going, what the heck is this? This is blasphemy. But in a way, it does make sense. And, if it frees up a roster spot too for the Flames, it's not the worst situation in the world to maybe get rid of some of these guys. And get rid of is a harsh way to put it, but allow them a chance to go win the cup and, free up some space for the youngsters within the organization. But let me know what you think. Should the Flames trade Backlund? Do they need to trade Backlund? Feel free to let me know down below in the comments. Now let's wrap up this video with the comment of the day, as we love to do here on the channel. It comes from yesterday's video, of course, which went over Nazem Kadri. And this one here, from just my opinion, it's so true. He says, some of these trade rumors are written by guys who could write a good fantasy novel. Some of the stuff you see in the summer, oh my gosh, it could be box office hits if they were turned into movies with how, just far-fetched some of the stories are. But yeah, some of these trade rumors, even with Kadri, it's kind of ridiculous. The Flames have said they don't want to trade him. Kadri said he doesn't want to be traded. Either way, I digress. That's just what we have to talk about during the dog days of the summer. Welcome Mikael Backlund to the chat. Who's next? Are we going to have Braden Pahal trade rumors tomorrow? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to what you saw here today and have a wonderful rest of your day.